People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, yesterday we drew 2-2 against Spurs. And from a tactical point of view, I thought I might as well discuss my findings or what I found. Now, before I start, or while I start, many people will question Emre's tactics in big games. And what I mean by that is everybody can recognise that Emre does his thing with big games and tactics, but some people say potentially he caters to the opposition more so than his team and he struggles to find balance. And it's good thinking about the other team, but you need to think about our capabilities. I don't feel there was any of that yesterday. You can't call Emre negative based on today, especially because he went with the front three in Pepe, Aubameyang and Lacazette. You obviously saw Lacazette was obviously here, and with that being said, his job was to drop. You saw him do that a lot. But what I like about him is from the first minute, he was a physical handful for the two centre-halves. Now, Aubameyang was on the left, so if we swap the two right now, Aubameyang is a striker, but his game is based on pockets of play. Look at the goal Guendouzi set up for him, people. Not to scale, but it was a ball over the top, and he put it in the back of the net. Aubameyang is not going to be a physical handful with them, so they're going to be a bit easy. With a Lacazette there now, you saw it, people. When Lacazette's dropping, one of them was having to come, and obviously Aubameyang was on the flanks, and you saw Aubameyang having joy coming here or coming off the flanks and linking up well. Pepe, completely irrelevant to this conversation at the moment, was doing his thing down. Oh, I just took a shower and I got this on me now. Was down the right-hand side, and at any given opportunity was trying to take rolls on and whatnot. Lacazette dropping deep. Lacazette did a lot for the team, man. He was defending, starting moves, all sorts, and he brings the best out in Aubameyang because it's like he drops, he follows him, it becomes a decoy sort of thing. And then if Kolasinac bombs up the left-hand side, which we were seeing, we had joy. I mean, it's no surprise. We obviously had joy down their right-hand side the most. I mean, Davinson Sanchez, he's unnatural in the right-back position. I think he done well getting... You know when you're a defender and you get your body in the way? I think he did a couple of them good things against Aubameyang. But on a general basis, he was struggling out here. He was struggling. And like I said, Aubameyang was coming inside. Kolasinac was going down the flank. We kind of gave them something to think about in that regards. Relation to the front three, though, I'm not going to lie. I want our front three to play because you look at Liverpool, there's no reason we can't do that. But by the same token, when you look at Liverpool, when we dissect it, we know Salah can play up front, but it's not like ours where we've got two strikers and a winger. They've got Salah, Mane and Firmino. Firmino's a false nine essentially. Salah can play through the middle but can be an inside forward. Mane the same. We've got to find a way of playing two strikers with a winger. So it's wow in terms of individuals, and you look at the firepower of Liverpool and ours and you're saying why can't we do something like that, and we still can. It is completely different. I'm not going to lie, people, 4-3-3 is my thing. I want to see the front three that played start more often than not. You lot know this, I've made no secret of that. But I'm not going to lie, I see some games they don't all need to start, and I've said that and I've maintained that. I said the majority of the time I want to see them start, but there's going to be games it's just an Aubameyang and Lacazette thing, it's just a Lacazette and Pepe, it's just Aubameyang and Pepe. As you get it, people, different options gives us different sort of strengths. There might even be games it's Pepe and Nelson and one of the strikers. Do you get it? We need all of these positive conundrums, people, because it makes us harder to read, and it just gives more positive issues for Emre, and it makes everybody up their game because there's healthy competition for spots now and whatnot. But I get it, people, because I'm not going to lie, you want Aubameyang here, people, really. Aubameyang did his thing for me on the left-hand side, and when he switched to the right, he did his thing. He was obviously receiving the ball, he was driving forward, he was going down there. But if you're a Spurs defender, if you're 1-2-3-4, yeah, and if Lacazette and Pepe are irrelevant from this right now, yeah, Aubameyang, 22 league goals, yeah. I'm not criticising the decision to play Aubameyang out wide, by the way. Someone has to do it if we're going to play all three of them. I'm just saying, I'm just speaking. Obviously, Aubameyang, that's going to strike fear in guys. Or you want to see him, you don't want to see him on your last shoulder and things like that. Or, like the goal you saw for Guendouzi, you don't want to see him on your last shoulder. You don't mind Aubameyang on the flanks. They're a top goal scorer. You don't mind Aubameyang, especially if you're centre-half. Because, obviously, I still think Aubameyang had a good game and he was a threat, but if he's putting in the crosses, who's going to finish them? Do you get it, people? So you're kind of happy as a Spurs fan. So I do think somebody misses out in the key areas. I think Aubameyang linked up well and he's able to get on the ball. Lacazette's playing through the centre and you had Pepe. But I did think it kind of harmed Aubameyang. He weren't able to really consistently be in the danger areas. And to be honest, we need, sometimes Aubameyang's going to have to do it for the cause. And like I said, he had a good game. I liked what I saw from Pepe. Of course, his decision making. I think I gave him a 9. Watching the game again, I give him a 7 player rating. I like the front three, people. You can't call Emre negative for going with that front three. Surely, people. You can't say he's negative, but he went with that. The midfield was interesting. I think Joe Willock was unlucky to lose his place. It is what it is. You saw Torreira, Guendouzi and Xhaka play. I feel Guendouzi had a good game. Obviously, in real time, it was more probably like here, Xhaka receiving the ball at times and them two there. But I liked what I saw. Personally, I feel Torreira's surely carrying a knock, or he might be fatigued because he didn't look his usual self, but it was still a 6 out of 10. Xhaka is just Xhaka, and I feel Mr. Guendouzi had a solid game in the middle, up and down the field, helping out defensively. I feel our fullbacks did quite well as well, especially, well, Kolasinac was constantly in their box, but I think Maitland-Niles held it up. Because I did think when Spurs did counter, and even at times, there was a long ball. Let's just say the defender played it, I can't remember who. They gave us issues. Long ball to Harry Kane. I swear that started one of their goals, people. Or even that, the long ball in the counter-attack was really what was threatening from Spurs. And although I feel Maitland-Niles played well, I feel Son down this side, whenever he got the ball, via whatever means, looked to cause trouble and break on the counter-attack. And I feel at times he darted in here, and I don't know why, but Son wouldn't shoot. But I think this is where the danger came from Spurs, people. Obviously, that's Spurs' formation. I feel in real times, you had something like that. You had Son coming off the flanks, but mainly here, sort of thing, like a half striker, half winger sort of thing. You had Eriksen there. Lemina obviously dropped and made it and kind of matched the midfield three. And I feel Lemina's job's underrated because he was frustrating us. He was putting out fires and making fouls. I feel the midfield area was key. Ooh, almost dropped. So I think Spurs lined up with that. I don't feel, well, with Davinson Sanchez, they're obviously gonna lose a lot. It's not like how Walker Peters coming down this flank. So that allowed us to get higher up the field and allowed our midfielders to get on the ball and start little interconnecting passages of play here. I liked our midfield today. I do think we could have been a bit more expansive, but I like how we wasn't afraid to hit passes, to link up. Lacazette coming short, Aubameyang recognising that, Pepe coming inside. If he's coming inside, Maitland-Niles was going down there. I liked what I saw, people. I'm not going to lie though, for as much as I liked what I saw, I didn't like the goal we conceded. The penalty is the penalty. But if you lot remember, if I make everybody irrelevant for a second, people, and try and do it to scale, it was something like this. There was a catalogue of errors, people. There was a catalogue of errors, but it was something like this. There's a 50-50 for the ball, right, people? There was a 50-50 in the air between Xhaka and I can't remember the Spurs lad. I don't know who it was. Apologies. There was a 50-50. Xhaka loses out. But if Xhaka loses out and our centre-half in Socrates stays where he is, then we can better defend this and our team can get their shape back. Our left-back can drop. Socrates, for some reason, decides to go rushing out. He misses the header. It's flicked on. It's flicked on into space. Already we're at a disadvantage. Eriksen, let's say Eriksen was there. We're already at a disadvantage because we're trying to recover now. People are obviously shuffling across and people are at 6s and 7s. Eventually, obviously, you saw it. That's primarily how it started, people. 2 men going for the same ball. There was no need for Socrates, if we say this is Socrates, there's no need for him to come charging out. If Xhaka misses that ball, then he misses that. We'll deal with it. You come rushing out. There's gaps. He misses it. This space here, people, gets exploited. Because like you saw, eventually it ended up in the path of Leno. Yes, Leno spilt it. Then you saw Eriksen. He will not score an easier goal. That's one thing I wasn't happy with. I do think the counter-attack of Spurs was giving us issues. And toward the end of the game is when we started going into old habits. But that was the only danger areas for me. I'm impressed with how we played. What I liked as well, people, from Arsenal, and I really shouldn't have messed up the drawing to make this happen. Say that's the front three. This is so hard. People, I'm not going to lie, I might be making it look simple, but with my body all twist up like this, it's difficult. I'm not going to lie. But one thing I liked, people, is that, now, go back 1 year, people, when we beat Spurs at the Emirates. You saw this. Spurs were playing out from the back. You saw something more along the lines of this. Pressing them high. Discouraging any sort of ball playing between the back four, making them make mistakes, whether that's Loris playing it long, whether that's poor goal kicks, whether that's as a team just pushing higher up the field. You get it, people? I liked what I saw in that game. And I liked what I saw this game. I feel we did the same thing, but it was slightly different. Have you noticed how I said we was pressing them people? It was more like this, something along the lines of this. We found greater balance. We still pressed them, in my opinion, quite high, but it was more like this. Versus last season, it's like we dropped off into these areas, and we said, all right, cool, you know what? You lot can play in these areas. You lot can play. We're going to be compact as a team. You lot can play in these areas. You lot can play in these areas. We're compact. If you bring it down these flanks, we've got enough to deal with it. And there, play there as much as you want. Play in this area. Play in this area as much as you want. We're going to sit off. But the minute you come in here, we're pressing. And that's what I like to see. I saw a bit more of a calculated approach to pressing. And I know we didn't beat Liverpool yesterday, last week, people. But based on the fact that 2 weeks in a row against the top 6, I've seen a game plan, whether I've agreed with it or not, gives me reason to be encouraged, because it shows that while we're not perfect, players are taking on information and actually learning in the week in regards to what they need to do. So there were some positives. Of course, the 2 goals, you can't factor in them. Do I really need to show Xhaka? Like, I don't know what Xhaka's doing. Son's there. You could see it happening, people. He just comes and wipes him clean out, complete head loss, puts us in a disadvantage of the game. No amount of analysis or no one can really comprehend that, because there is no real thought process to doing things like that, people. But in regards to what I found tactically, that was it, people, to be honest. I was impressed in particular with, on reflection of the game, Guendouzi and our midfield, because I feel our midfield, I always get onto them about helping in wide areas. I feel even Xhaka was doing that. I feel we fought in the middle, man. I was really impressed with the midfield battle, because that was a key area I personally was saying and stating in my previews and to my friends and whatnot. But that's all there is to it, really and truly, people. So I'm going to get out of here. In fact, we don't need to get out of here. We've spoken about that. We might as well speak about some other Arsenal news. What other Arsenal news have we actually got? First and foremost, it looks like, well, I don't know if this is nonsense, but similar to Mustafi being linked with Roma, people, Mkhitaryan's been linked with them, along with an option to buy. Along with an option to buy in the event that he plays 25 games for the club, in which they'll have to buy him outright. Who knows what that fee would be? It would need to be something kind of cheap to entice them. Apparently, his wages, as expected, are a stumbling block. Roma are prepared to pay 180k of his 200k a week wages, which would mean we'd need to make up the other end, probably paying the last 20. So if we can get a loan fee and the majority of his wages paid, that's decent. Obviously, today is the deadline, so if that's going to happen, it needs to happen quickly. For Mkhitaryan, it's a good move. It's a Roma, competitive club, lovely country, lovely city to be in. Gets players off our wage book and things like that, so it would help us. But I'm not too sure how much to read into it, being so late into the day now, to be fair. And something does lead me to believe Emre likes Mkhitaryan and that he don't really want to sell him, wants to use him in the squad. But who really knows in that regards? Eddie Nketiah came off the bench in Leeds. Did Leeds lose to Swansea? I was watching the highlights. I'm sure they lost, but he came off the bench. He had a wonderful chance to score, but he blasted it over the bar. There's not really anything to say about that. Sadly, monkey chants were directed at Lukaku in his game for Inter Milan in their victory against Cagliari. What more can I say, people? I could sit here and say racism's got no place in football and this, that and the other. We know it doesn't, and it's not going to change. I mean, why wasn't the game halted? The games are now being stopped due to homophobic chants. Why is it not being stopped due to racism? Are we saying one cause is bigger than the other? Because we heard every excuse under the sun for not stopping racist games, in that the racists will win, it harms everybody, the refs have to be brave enough, the refs are not brave enough. We heard all of these things, it puts pressure on the refs. We heard all of these things, but suddenly, when it's homophobic chants, and rightly so, because none of this has any part to play in football, should be in football, the tune is flipped. So for me, what does that tell you, people? It's telling you that people don't care about racism. They do not care. Maybe if racism was happening to another minority of people, to another section of society, things would change, but it's not going to. These are the same fans that subjected Moise Kean to racist abuse as well. At the end of the day, Cagliari, they lost the game. Lukaku scored. Half of these people probably racially abusing Lukaku. Their wives want to do certain things with him. Their daughters too. The majority of these racists, the males, they're probably asking Lukaku for a picture, and they can only abuse Lukaku on social media and all of these things because they will get 2 bells knocked out of them. It's sad, but it's not. I will say it's expected. I'm not gonna lie, people. When he did sign for Inter Milan, I'm sure a lot of you thought how long before he suffers racist abuse. And Lukaku's a very intelligent man, so he's bound to have known that himself firsthand. it is what it is. He's probably going to get more. But Lukaku's a strong lad. Not that being strong has any relevance and should be a reason to take racist abuse, because you're seeing it a lot now. But it is what it is, people. Honestly, at this point in time, what more can I say? What more can you lot say? You lot know what it is. These football associations do not care about racism. If there was a way to profit off racism would stop people, really and truly, because not due to racism, but because there's money. The UEFAs and FIFAs and all these things, they don't care about racism. You might see the same old retired language like racism has no place in football, etc. But they don't care, or it would be stopped, people. It is what it is. It's sad, man. But what more can I say, people? I'm just going to get out of here. People, Deluded, thank you for watching and rocking as usual. I'm out.